Okay, so I wanted to show you, maybe in the final case study we're doing, we may not show you a specific precedent, but I just wanted to show you a little variation here. So everyone can see this. I'm in InDesign, and I decided to prioritize one of the renderings. So I pulled up the rendering of the courtyard, which I think is the really distinctive feature of this project. And I made it considerably larger. I made the exterior rendering, which I find, other than the juxtaposition of the building against the landscape, not so important. Moved the text over and created basically a 3-column layout with the first image taking 2 columns. So I would really encourage you to look at this. Now, I didn't do it in front of you guys, but this took me about 10, 15 minutes to rearrange this. So it doesn't take that long. And I think this is a more impactful board than the one that I did previously. So really, the distinctive feature in this particular project is this round opening in this courtyard. So I really want to emphasize this on the renderings and the presentation board. Okay, so let's take a look at the.
It looks good. I like that board.
Oh, good. I like it too.
Yeah.
I find this is just like, and it's much easier now. Like my eye goes to that big rendering first.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice to be led through a presentation. So I go to that, and then I move on, and then I want to find out more information about this project. And I can go into the plans, I can go into the diagrams, I can go into the other rendering. So there's a nice, like, it's frustrating if you give a page, even if it's very handsome, and you sort of don't give people a hierarchy or directions for where to go. So
we were just having that same conversation in 159 as they're putting a sketch board together, a model board, and the latest and the greatest stuff has to be the biggest, and it's their responsibility to lead the eye and prioritize for the viewers.
Yeah, and we're going to get this, you're going to get hit over the head with this a lot when it comes to your portfolio pages, because unless it really is appropriate, you want to have a single major focal element on a sheet or on a spread of 2 pages, and then have people, look at the subsidiary information, the things that fill in the rest of the story. So that's a really big part. It's a little bit like journalism. I studied journalism because I'm of a certain age when I was in high school and college, because this goes back to Watergate and Woodward and Bernstein. Never mind what that all was about. And the big thing is in writing journalism, you get your strongest points first. And there's 2 reasons for that. You want to pull in the reader, and you also give your editor the option that the less important information comes at the end of the article. So somebody that's super interested in the article, read it all the way through. I don't know about you, but when I read a newspaper article, I don't feel bad, like if I'm no longer interested, to stop reading. So that's what there's a hierarchy in, and it's a little bit unlike the way you would write a typical college paper. So anyway, a little bit of a journalism and visual media. Okay, let me go to Bridge and go to these. And so here, this is a very attractive board. Okay, I'm just going through them, the ones I received in alphabetical order. The renderings all read together. And I'm going to not talk too much about the individual images. But in this case, there's a nice palette. Everything kind of goes together. It's a little bit, the only thing is, again, I would love, you could easily submit a second submission with this, where one, particularly the view of the courtyard, is bigger and the exterior view is smaller. They're both equally nice renderings. I wish, and David can probably comment a little bit more on this, maybe it's still in progress. This one over here, the inner view of the courtyard, this is a little harsh right here. This could use a little bit of a gradient to go between light and shadow, but it looks good. And the resolution for some reason on this looks not quite right on the diagrams, and they could be smaller and centered on this column. So this is very pleasing, but I would love Joyce to consider another layout, but this is still, it looks good. It's pleasing, and you are following the model I gave you.
And you could consider the diagrams side by side, pull those apart. Not sure that it needs to happen, but like the plans are next to each other, the diagrams can be next to each other as well.
I showed how to do that, even though they're not arranged that way in the file, the image that came from the file. I can show you again, how to do that. That you can make these really nice changes without a lot of sweat in InDesign. So if things aren't laying out the way you like, you have the option of fixing them in InDesign. So let's go back. Bridge. Okay, so this is still a work in progress. We're missing the diagrams. This looks like a super wide camera angle. I think the back, and I think this whole area here could be cropped away. There's not much that's happening in the shadow. You've used a super wide angle, so that creates a lot of perspective distortion, which looks a little strange. On the other hand, the background looks right. This is nice. I'm not quite sure what is going on in here that leaves this umbrella floating like this. That's kind of curious.
Maybe the poles behind the guy, because they are like offset.
Yeah, the poles behind the guy.
Yeah, but what's this pink cloud?
Oh.
Here. There's something kind of strange here. I'm not quite sure what it is. Oh, I see. The guy is obscuring. I think I get it now. The guy is standing in front of the vertical support pole.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it would be nice to shift him just slightly so it doesn't look like the umbrella is shooting out of his head.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could just move him one way or another just a little bit. And I still don't, the plans are fine. I don't get the gradient, the aqua gradient in this, or this little extra bar here. So these need to be more in keeping with the rest of the images. That sort of just looks like the sky. And yeah, here you can get your diagrams in here. So this is, there are a couple things where the text here got a bit unruly. And I think this guy could be made even smaller, the rendering on the right. So this might have been copied and pasted from the text. So you need to go in and edit out the line breaks. The plan and roof plan look good. I don't know why here this is in perspective and gray, and the circulation is in isometric and in color. So that just...
It was because the second image was made in 2020 SketchUp, and then I was trying to find the other image and I couldn't find it, so I had to do it again in 2017. It looks like different from the other one. That's why.
Yeah, so you can still do this. You can turn the perspective off and go to switch parallel projection, and that'll make it more like that. And also make sure you export it as a PNG file so you'll get a transparent background. So that would be just a little fix, because right now it looks kind of odd that there are these two different things. So I like the big view on the right, and I think that could get even bigger. And the view, the view on the left, I don't know, I'm not getting my right and left correct. And the view on the right, maybe that gets shrunk a little bit.
And if you go back into Photoshop for the renderings, I would desaturate the backgrounds, especially on the right. It's those mountains are like coming over the building, actually. It feels.
Yeah, there's not quite the right relationship between the ground plane and perspective of the project. And it looks like that's what you've done you've desaturated in the image on the left.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot better. That's quite good. I like that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, in the last one, I did that less red, but in the right one, I just put the old one because I haven't finished that one, so I just put an old one.
Yeah.
Fine.
And I think either the renderings should be like very, very close together, or they should be more separate. Like I think in yours, Michael, they were different. They were treated kind of differently, the renderings, if I'm remembering. So either they should be quite different or they should be very much the same, I think. These are like kind of close, but not exactly. So either bring them together or separate them in terms of the saturation and the feel and how you treat the people. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I kind of, and in my board, just to go back because it's so good, is I kind of went with the strong morning light.
Yeah.
And so that was part of what kind of, defined the way I rendered the images. Although I did desaturate the background a little bit in the larger image. I desaturated it a little bit in this guy too. Okay, back to the students. Okay, let's see.
You got some crazy shadows going on there, Paula. The top
Let's
left.
go back.
They're going opposite the peoples. The couple
Oh,
are
yeah,
going.
they're shooting every which way.
Yeah.
The couple is probably, David, is probably pretty close, you think?
Yeah, I think so. The girl taking the big stride there, it should be going behind her, not to her right.
Yeah. And you should be short because the sun in these is pretty high in the sky. But I think otherwise that rendering is pretty successful. Cool. Okay.
Is that like a magnifying glass you have there, Michael?
Yeah.
What program are you in?
I'm in Bridge.
Oh, nice.
So it's nice. Yeah, it's nice. So you can examine, more close up, particularly photographic images. I can also, it sort of comes up when you hit a key. I can make it go away, but every time I hit the zoom tool, it.
Can you annotate in Bridge or just scribble?
I'm not aware of it. You can do ratings. I am not sure. Tools. I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess that's.
Don't think you can annotate in Bridge.
Okay, just curious. Don't mean to distract you.
Yeah, it's a viewer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't annotate. Okay, Leilani's. I think, again, you followed the model that I showed you, and you get points for doing what your professor does. But I would argue that, again, I'd just like to see an arrangement where the two are different. Again, the courtyard rendering is a little bigger. I might eliminate there's a lot of distortion here. It's a very wide angle lens that was used. I'd probably take out some of the foreground in the image on the left. Maybe it just seems, it's so distorted when it gets close to us that, I'm not quite so comfortable. And this is a little strange the way it's cut off, although I think it's fairly nicely done with the background. The text should be smaller. can be really 12 point. And these guys could afford to be bigger, or these guys put side by side. But I think that, you know, right now you want to align like the plan and roof plan with this edge. There's a real strong edge here.
And her name could be aligned with there as well. And
Yeah.
the C in case. Actually, I think the image can move to the left to align with the C in case.
Yeah, I think maybe both images could become a little bit bigger. So
Yeah.
that just
Yeah.
goes all the way across. So that isn't hanging off the edges.
Yeah,
It's
there's
either
like a
that,
fold.
yeah. I think that would work better. You'll make the text smaller, make the images bigger, and pull this over and either put this side by side, which I'll show you how to do, or you know, just try to get a little bit more. The plans are nice, as is the section.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or you could go with one bigger image on the left and a smaller image on the right, and you'd have to work the text, but that could buy you some space for the diagrams if you shrink the
Yeah.
right image a little bit, perhaps.
Yeah, they're a little cramped, the diagrams right now.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, if you go down to 12 point text for the descriptive text. Also, you know, you have these strong lines here, is align them with the edges
Mm-hmm.
here. So this if it really does continue here, align that edge, these two. But it's a good presentation. Okay. Romina, and the same thing here is, and your text is a little bit cut off, but I think it can be smaller. And you know, this could move up. You still need to label the circulation diagram. Let me just make sure. This is, and there's something still that needs to be treated. I hope you can fix it in Photoshop, but this super dark gray over here, there's something wrong. That should be a much lighter, that should be, if this is a shadow here, that shadow should look the same.
Is it okay if I change that? I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
If it was okay, cool. So I'll just make it lighter.
Yeah, it should be lighter. It should be like this guy. And also the underside of this, all the shadows should match.
Okay, got it.
And I would just say about the renderings, and we won't penalize you on the grades because we're bringing this up later. I'm bringing it up late now, but I wouldn't use the same people in both renderings because they are the same exact people taking the same exact steps, which, I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Okay, I thought we had to use the same people.
But, well, right, Michael, that doesn't make sense, does it? I mean,
It could be a moment later when they've moved around, but I think it looks better to have different people. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's the same people, but they've had a chance to like get up and
move.
take a walk around and move.
Yeah, if you could lift, if you could move their arms or something so that they're, you know, but it's okay now, but in the future, just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'll change the second one. I mean, it's easy to change the people, so I'll just change the second one since we still have a little time on it.
Yeah, well, it's not easy to change the shadows. That's why I said I wouldn't penalize you, but think moving forward, keep that in mind that the same exact person in the same exact position would not be in two different places at different times.
Yeah, and looking at this, the other thing on your shadows, and I think maybe you're still working on the one on the right, is they really could be a lot more translucent. I think you got it just about right over here,
Mm-hmm.
as far as the shadows. But here they're obscuring the boards, which that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the diagrams and the plans look like they're a good size. It looks a little cramped at the top of the plan to the text to the bottom of the renderings, and also the columns, the white columns in between the renderings. They're super tight together. You got a big space on the right and a medium space on the left. You know what I'm describing?
Absolutely.
I see it.
Yeah.
I see it now.
It's all about spacing and alignment.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
So the
and that's-
left side needs to match the right side on the, got it.
Yeah, the right image should move to the right, and
Yeah, got
yeah.
it. Got
And
it.
so
They'll
for
give you
everybody,
more space too, so that's good.
yeah, a little more breathing room. And like the text, like the case study at the very top is really, actually the Y is in the rendering. It's like really sitting on it.
Yeah,
So
I see it.
give everybody a little more breathing room, a little more elbow room.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying all morning in 159, just alignment, 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 and every piece, you know, like the text is a graphic on the board of equal importance to the plan, equal importance to the rendering. You know, everything counts and everything has to be aligned.
Yeah.
And you need to get your name on it too.
Yeah. You can just do maybe that right here in the center on the bottom if this is gives you some white space, but
Yeah.
you know, maybe align it with this. But even up these two columns, and definitely go to a smaller typeface to 12 point.
It looks like your text actually ran out.
Yeah, you didn't quite
Yeah.
get the full statement by the architects. You need to get that. So yeah.
It's on its way though. They all seem like they're on their way, but it's this is when you get really, again, the icing on the cake. It's time to get picky and really make them perfect.
Yeah, and this.
Go on, Michael.
Oh yeah, and this is your opportunity. This is where you really polish things, and this is where in your workflow that's why these are not due until Sunday, because you really want this part, it all to come together in a really attractive way. The other point I wanted to make is InDesign will automatically, if you've worked with it at all, it'll automatically figure out alignments for you. You know, as you move stuff around, it will, I mean, I can show you, but you've experienced it. It'll automatically think, oh, do you want to align with the edge of this image or the edge of this text? Or, you know, it will help you along the way. So yeah, just a little bit of reworking in here. Okay. Actually, I'll just, fortunately with Lyric, I figured out probably what was wrong. This was printed to a PDF, not exported as a Adobe preset.
Yeah, I fixed it and resent it in.
Okay, great.
We can probably go over it like after everybody is finished.
Fine. Okay, and then this last one. So I like the individual images, but they're really jammed together. The text is much too big. We're missing one of the two diagrams.
Yeah, I couldn't find that and just decided to get it in for now.
Yeah, and that part of this project is, you know, let's get this in, but you really don't want this, I mean, this image hard up against this one. Again, I think this needs to be bigger and this could be smaller, the one on the top. I think that the images are pretty successful. I should really look at them a little more closely. Let's, come on, open. Here we go. Yeah, I'm just looking at it in a full Adobe. Yeah, this guy could become a lot smaller and maybe even cropped a little bit.
Okay.
Like I'm not, it's pretty close in perspective to the photograph, but it's not quite. Maybe the model, the image needs to be lower a little bit to match the perspective. What do you think, David? You're muted.
I'm sorry, I was looking away. What was your comment, Michael?
Oh, it was just on the top image.
Yeah.
I think that the perspective is pretty close between the model and the background, but it might benefit from being lowered.
Yeah, I agree.
That would align the perspective a lot better.
Yeah, if you obscure, hide some of that foreground, the foreground's what's making it look a little wacky from
Okay.
this, at least from this distance. So I think if you just cover it up a little bit. Did we, last time we told you to move it away, did we, or something?
No, this is a new background.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, things are oddly close to each other, but I like the overall tone of everything. The browns from the plans through the renderings, like the browns and the blues are very pretty, the colors.
Yeah, I think it reads together really well. Your work, it would be nice if the section was rendered. It's not, but everything reads really clearly as far as your plans, as well as your section. We really didn't want to completely poche that area that's between the ceiling and the roof.
Right.
Looks like the diagram is turned clockwise a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, you want to get it back.
Redone and
Yeah.
kind of completed.
Yeah.
Okay.
The font is big, the bottom
Yeah,
font. Is it?
yeah. The text is much too big.
Yeah, buy us
Should be
more
like
space.
12 point.
Yeah. It's close. It's in a good direction. It just needs some. Yeah.
And I would, you probably like you're tired of this. I would really do like what I did. It's like it was really nice to do a quick second layout. If
Just to play with.
just to see what else you do, and one that is maybe still has a nice organization to it in terms of columns and rows, but is maybe just a slightly different take. And the only thing that gets annoying is gathering all the stuff together in the diagrams if you've done the text in InDesign. What I try to do, let me escape and let me see if I can download the
So I haven't labeled my diagrams yet. Where would you suggest I do that as far as being the easiest location?
do it location or software.
Software, yeah.
Yeah, do it in InDesign.
Okay.
Yeah, that's usually where you're going to want to do your lettering. That way the lettering can stay consistent throughout the poster and the document. Okay, and what am I doing? I have to, well, I may do that a little bit later in download lyrics, new submission. Okay. So I wish I'd received more, but these are the ones that I did receive by the deadline.
Sorry, go on.
Do try to get in something in the next day. If you haven't submitted something, you might get some points. But more important, that I can give you some direction about what to do with your layout before you do your final submission. That's the reason we put this intermediate step in here.
I just actually made a Dropbox for Thursday.
Okay.
For anything that you want to show us, and I wrote not to be graded. So it's just those of you, like Michael said, he's willing to give some points. So upload them wherever he wants them. But if you want to show us this for a second time for a fine tuning, Thursday by 1 o'clock, it says, I'll show you when I take over the screen where it is exactly. But for any last minute, feedback you want, I created a box for that.
Great. So David, should we move to any Photoshop issues?
Yeah, why don't we look through the first batch of renderings that are done? I haven't graded them yet, but we'll flip through them.
Okay. So let me stop my share.
Yeah, the boards are on their way. I'll share. So you could see Canvas now?
Yes.
All right, so we are in the enormous Photoshop module. At the very bottom, it says final Photoshop submission. So this is what this is what was due on yesterday, right? So we have to look at those. Michael and I still have to look. So we could also look at these, actually, the floor plans too, perhaps.
I've looked at those. I've
Okay,
already gone through those.
okay. I didn't grade this, but we'll flip through them quickly together. So Thursday, your second rendering is due. And I just put this up, project 1, work to review on Thursday, not to be graded. So if you want us to look at your board one more time or anything else, just throw it in there before 1 o'clock and we'll just download it and take a last minute look for fine tuning. All right. And while we're here, well, yeah, actually, let's just look at the renderings first. Okay, so we'll just go through them quickly. And if you have any questions about your own, and you could, these are done now, and they're going to get their final grades, but they are going onto the boards. So again, you know, they need to look good together on the board. So you might yet tweak them again, but typically these should be done now. So this is looking good. I think if I remember correctly, these people were on the smaller side and now they're looking tall. So yeah, I think the colors are nice. I think this looks good. If you have questions about your own, let me know, or comments, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to move along. Joyce, nice shadow. I wonder if this guy might be a little darker. He's almost lighter than his shadow, and he's got that line running right through him. Maybe a hair. It's not a big deal, but the background looks good. Yeah, I think it's nice. So shadows going the wrong way. This is for Tao. So shadows going the wrong way there, right? You there, Tao?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So we look at this table and we see shadows moving in this direction, right? So going the wrong way. Oh, same thing. What, did you find the same image? So where did the umbrella? Oh, same thing.
Yeah,
Is this what you were talking about? Is this the same image?
It is.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was the same problem. It's the same exact image. Okay. All right. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he wants to, maybe he might be a little on the big side.
Yeah.
You know, maybe tuck him in down here a little more or something. She looks good. It's a little eerie how she's staring at the camera there, but yeah, this one in the back looks really good. I could see her shadow just catching the light there. Yeah, this one's looking, it's a little creepy to me.
Yeah, it does have that sort of like character in Stephen King, you know, staring straight at you.
Yeah. The color of the background is nice. I kind of like the gray sky. It looks a little ominous, but I kind of like it. All right. Paula's. So did we talk about this one or no? So people are very saturated and shadows are going this. Oh, we did. This is the one we just talked about. Yeah. This shadow is going the wrong way. So we see shadows shooting off in this direction. So hers should follow as such. These look like they're going the right way. It's a little peculiar how they're overlapping.
Yes, I was confused about how can I do them because they are too close.
Just cut one. So if they're on different layers, just select and cut. So wherever this guy's shadow comes in and impedes on her shadow, just get that selection tool and cut that part right off. Just if the shadows should be on different layers. His shadow's on one layer, hers is on the other. And then once his shadow crosses onto hers, select that portion and cut it. I think you could get rid of her and the baby, maybe. It's very, or a little more space between
Yeah,
them.
or some space.
Yeah, more space. Like, so if you're redoing her, you know, maybe bring her down here, or just, yeah, just so they're not touching tangent to each other so much. This is nice, nice fade right there. The shadow, this is nice too. The shadow looks nice. I like the little bit of color back there. The background, I think, could be a little lighter. And they have to come down. They're hyper real, hyper. How do they look in size? I can't decide. Like, this chair looks big.
Yeah.
They look small?
Now that you pointed out against that chair, yes, they do.
Yeah, I thought they were big, but now I think they're small.
Well, we're dealing with a little bit of a problem that, again, there's a very wide angle that's being used, so that it's really giving us a certain amount of distortion.
Yeah.
But yeah, they really, now that you mention it, to be consistent, they should be taller.
Yeah, like I'd imagine her feet like would barely be touching the ground. This chair in particular looks really tall to me. Could even like come in Photoshop and chop the legs down as a cheat. But yeah, it's a little peculiar. Or I don't know, maybe move them away a little bit or something. I'm not sure. Not too much bigger, definitely. He looks like he's pretty tall. Laney's shadows are going pretty well. Shadows look good. The color's nice. They're leaning a little bit to the right, but that's okay. I wouldn't fuss with them. The background, I would tone the background down though, especially against the white simple thing. It keeps looking like it's coming forward at me, especially up here. And it's so just so hyper real. Like these, yeah, they don't bother me. But the background's a little intense, sharp focus when it's at such a distance.
Yeah, you might. David, you introduced that a little bit earlier, or last class with the shadows, was a little bit about maybe trying Gaussian blur.
Yeah.
You know, so it would give you the effect that you would have with the camera, where you know the foreground's in focus and the background's a little bit of a blur.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You can just that's the beauty part about in Photoshop, is you can try that out and you know, just to have it work on that background.
Yeah, I could open. Oh, don't even get me started. I got a new credit card and now Adobe is, oh no, maybe they're giving, maybe my payment didn't work, but I think they're going to let me go on for a day. How nice of them.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, but I could go over that. That's a good idea. I didn't think about that with the background, that blur though. Yeah, just to take the edge off of it, kind of. Yeah. Dramatic.
It is.
Abdullah. Look at her hair, Abdullah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's you have to get into that skew or something. She needs to be tightened down a little bit. It looks good at the start, but then she's like got this like. That's kind of what actually that video that I showed you. That's what they did, but that was like coming right at us. Yeah, I don't think that would happen. That looks a little unnatural.
Yeah, I will fix it.
Yeah. It's good. I like it. I think again, there might be a little too much space. Just maybe a little closer. There's a lot of extra deck and stuff. Even like all this really is just, there's no new news here. Just a lot of blank wall. you know, maybe get this thing centered up, you know, whatever this space is right here, do the same right there. And this might be a little intense. It almost looks like we're in the planetarium or something, like a projection. But I mean, she's very real too. But again, that Gaussian blur might be good on her as well as the background. Yeah, I mean, I like, you know, like the style. I kind of like the intensity, but at the same time, this mountain is just like coming through the oculus at us. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, it's intense. It's sort of, and I almost feel like with that much orange, that would start to be reflected in the building itself.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, I mean, that's, you know, that the highlights are nice. I mean, I like the way you've done that on the edge there that David just highlighted.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and oh, the other thing I'd urge is, although you might want to prejudge it a little bit in Photoshop, you can always crop in InDesign.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you decide, unless you really don't want the extra piece, that's because, and that keeps it non-destructive.
Yeah, you could even chop some legs off this table, I think. And I mean, I wouldn't get it so close to her foot like I did, but either she goes back a little bit, but I think there's a lot of space here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on its way. Romina. Good. The background's good. It does have a little bit of a might fall off the edge of this thing feel to it, but that's that's okay. It was a tricky one finding the best backgrounds. Trickier than I thought it would be. Yeah, this is nice. And shadows look pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah. Roughly going in the correct direction. Yeah. Good. Yeah. And yeah, it's kind of, I'm okay with like the, you know, the furniture in the foreground there coming right off. All right, good.
And what do you think about the making the shadows consistent?
In terms of
the shadow on the wall that we're facing versus the shadow on the wall on the right?
Oh yeah, they're
I'm just gonna fix that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're two different. Yes, I agree.
wasn't sure if I could change it since this is how it came from the SketchUp, but yeah.
You should be able to select it because it's a uniform.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure if I was supposed to do it or I was supposed to leave it how it was on SketchUp.
No, it's you do whatever you have to do to make it look good. If it's an improvement, do it.
Okay, that works.
This shadow is quite nice. I like these folks. It's a really good shadow, I think. This guy looks good. Yeah, the people look good, I think. The shape of the shadow is a little weird, but he's got a little bit of a bell shape to him. Good. Lyric. So still getting some pixelation issues, right, Michael?
Yeah, we got to make sure that you're exporting it with at least, when you go file export PNG file, that you set the image size at 4,000 at least.
Yeah, I think a couple of the assignments that were due yesterday was, I think I just submitted them, like I printed them, and then I think I'm so used to like AutoCAD when you print like the preview and then like you can make it into a PDF, but yeah, I'll fix all of those.
Yeah. Yeah, like even this mountain, but this is like what I'm kind of saying we should do, but I'm also worried that it's a pixelation problem here. But it's, you know, it's not like super crisp, so I kind of like that. I kind of like this guy. I wish his hand wasn't lost in that umbrella.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I should have, because I didn't want to make him any darker because he is like standing right in front of the light.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Where's his shadow?
Yeah, he needs a shadow, but I wonder like if his hand was here. Like, because he's taking a picture of himself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I don't know why, well, with the bench behind him, but that's okay. This beautiful landscape. He's in the corner of the, yeah, but his hand's kind of obscured there, and the shadow is going to be coming this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might consider moving him out here so his hand's not obscured, and then we can see a little more shadow perhaps.
Okay.
And this guy, what's going on here?
I don't know how to like make him sit in the furniture. Like,
Yeah, well, if you don't, you avoid it. But the way to do it is reduce his transparency
And erase.
and then make the selection right here of that, maybe on the SketchUp layer, select this chair, jump back on his layer and erase.
okay.
Make this selection, jump back on his layer and erase. So you're cutting away parts that are behind things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically cut out a piece of him.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
And if you could use the magic wand, you're on the SketchUp layer. If you're not using the magic wand and you're using a lasso, you could just trace what you want, but you're cutting it out of his layer. Yeah.
Okay.
And now this guy's also looking small, right? I mean, if that's seven and change, almost 8, he might be, because he is right next to us here. So I would expect him to be
A little taller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Almost a head's worth.
I was scared that it would like look like really fake if he was too tall, but
Well, this is 7'9", right?
Yeah.
So this is about 6 feet. I mean, there are people of all different heights, but in general, we aim for about 5.5 feet to 6, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you might free him up and try him over here a little more so his hand doesn't get lost in that umbrella. But yeah, you got to work on that
The
export, the chair, but it's export, right, Michael?
Yeah.
Yeah, export 2D and get one of those dimensions to 4,000.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Bright.
Oh, Lumion render.
Oh, it is Lumion, yeah. Kira, how is Lumion? Are you there?
Stressful.
Yeah.
Stressful, but I managed to do it.
Yeah.
What
was stressful? What was stressful?
Like the starting and stopping. Like I had to keep doing it. Like I had to keep. I messed with the daylight and the dawn, so just getting the image right.
Yeah. Well, first time for anything. What do you think, Michael?
Well, I think it's really good. Yeah, this isn't quite a dawn light. This is more midday light. But still,
Nice shadow.
I think the quality of our model. She needs a shadow, of course.
I know. I took her out. She's not.
Yeah,
there.
I don't. She's that pose is just a little.
I know. I took her out.
She's trying a little too hard.
The little girl's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's in shadow. A little weird, but that's this side would be lit. So that's where we could do a mirror, actually. And you might be able to but what would that look like if we mirrored her? Then she'd be pointing in that direction. Might work, I don't know. But you could get away with it. We're just being picky at this point. But so the sun is coming this way, so that's why this should be lit. But I could open up Photoshop and quickly show that because Romina was asking about it. Yeah, I'd lose her and get a background. Yeah, it's looking good. It's very pretty colors. Yeah, she's fabulous job with the kid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe I had issues with finding the background, like finding a large picture for the background. Everything else come up small.
I kind of like the sky. I maybe don't even mess with it. I mean, you could put a little mountain in there, but if the sky were left that way, it wouldn't bother me. It has a gradient to it. What do you think, Michael?
I mean, I just maybe if there was just some ground, it kind of just fades, or we just look like it's super overexposed.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's a photograph, it's like that. I mean, in this case, I'm not so bothered by it. I did find some good high resolution images by typing in the advanced image search 12 megapixels or more.
Yeah.
And then I found a few that were nice and long and high resolution.
Yeah. Yeah, that's big. This guy's killing me. He needs the short shorts. And somebody else had him, right? There's at least one more place he's showing up. They're just a little too real for me. Like they're yeah. I want to look at them and not the building, which is not good.
But they're well done.
Yeah, they fit perfectly.
The fit is great.
Well, yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's technically perfect or nearly so.
Yeah.
But it's like then the bigger thing is the composition. So it's definitely you get a clear A for technique, and then a little bit of like stepping back, like
yeah.
It's
This is S's.
This is S's.
He's not here now,
He's
but
not here, yeah. But
yeah, maybe lightening them up, but yeah, good job. So this is like what we're just talking about, cutting them out. So there's cut off her hip from the and then his cup. Yeah, good job. Nice shadow. Not exact. I expected to be going back a little more, but it's still well done, especially with the dog.
Yeah.
Very good. That guy. He looks like Weird Al.
He does look like Weird Al Yankovic, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, look at that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice work.
Yeah, good job. Tatiana. This guy's looking better, I think.
He's not falling. He's still, it's a little weird.
The angle's a little peculiar, but he looks okay. I think not. I mean, I wouldn't mess with him too much.
Mhm.
That shadow looks good. And these mountains never extended up. Is this the same image, top and bottom?
Yes.
Yeah. It's dense down at the bottom and airy at the top, but that's right. Maybe you could almost lighten the mountains some, perhaps even a little more.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah. What do you think, Michael?
Is there any room for you to be able to move the image up a little bit? That background image?
I could play with it. I feel like I did, and for some reason it just wasn't looking right the way it would sort of poke out. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we still have that sort of cliff edge look here.
Okay.
I mean, the building looks like it's sitting on the edge of a cliff, and the land drops off really rapidly. It's just a little bit like it would be nice to see some mountain in the sky above.
Yeah, just a hint, even. Clouds are nice.
Yeah, but I think it looks good. I mean, I don't want to be. I almost wish there was one more figure in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right in somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Just yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of space. People are good. Yeah.
The standing couple are very well done.
Mm-hmm. Just whenever you like. Bring us a little closer, just for the future. A lot of what we say, even if it's not resolved for this particular project, it's just important for moving forward lessons. Just get us closer in general.
Okay.
Yeah, lyrics are very, very close. Her images have been, but a lot of people are with these camera angles are kind of keeping us at quite a distance. There's a lot of
foreground.
yeah, yeah. And you know, this, I mean, this guy's okay, but again, this is nice, but otherwise, you know, nothing here is, there's really not much going on there. You might almost cut that out, you know. I mean, if it were symmetrical, where this guy comes in and this guy comes in, I don't know. You don't have to do it. I'm just, you know, thinking out loud.
I like seeing the edge of the bench.
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that just establishes what that is. It's maybe a little hard to figure out otherwise if there wasn't that seated figure there. So yeah, again, you know, you might be able to judge the final issues with cropping in InDesign. I mean, you could preview it a little bit in Photoshop, but you can just manipulate the crop box in InDesign independently.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to, SketchUp lets you do that, which is great, but you have to think about where the action is. What's the draw? You know, because you know, we got the cylinder up top, we got the openings, and then we got this circle. But otherwise, there's a lot of, you know, if you wanted to be extreme about it, I mean, you could get rid of a lot. And this could be symmetrical right in the center. And this is like nearly, you know, this is at least a third that doesn't have too much going on. I mean, I appreciate Michael, you know, seeing this, Michael's comment and seeing that and coming at us, but there's a lot of space at the same time. But, you know, for future reference. All right. Another one. And this is this the same one that was on the board?
Well,
Or similar.
because I thought I turned in the one. I don't know why those people are shadows now. On the board, they're normal, so I don't know if I turned in a different timed version. I'm not sure.
Okay, I kind of like them.
I like the shadows. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't all have to be realistic, and
No, sometimes it's better if it's not. So this is a SketchUp shadow on top of this?
yeah, it is.
So you could get on that SketchUp layer and select this guy, cut it out and replace it with a new color and make it transparent.
Okay.
Yeah, so SketchUp layer, magic wand, get the box, create your own new layer called ground shadow, drop in a color like from here, and then make it transparent so we could see through it.
Yeah.
I like the view. I like the width of it. Yeah, it's nice. You can see that all the way across a board.
Yeah.
Amy.
I'm a real sucker. I really love panoramas, particularly for a situation like this where we're in a very panoramic environment.
Yeah. Yeah, they look good. So, and what we're going to be talking about, Michael and I were talking about it for project 2, is now it's time to start thinking forward. Before you start making these renderings, you should be thinking about the board and thinking about the workflow and thinking about your final product. So if you had a 24-inch wide board, this could be a banner right across the top or across the bottom. It could anchor the bottom. I could see that. You know, so what would it take to get this to be a 24-inch image? You know, so thinking forward with projects is one thing we're working towards. It's nice. I like it a lot. Okay. Shall I just open up a quick image here and just talk about that blur one more time, and then the mirroring? Let's just do that. Let me see what I could
Well, that would
find.
be great. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me. Oh, here, let's open up this guy. Open with, where are you with? This might be because I didn't pay my bill.
The lights are off because you didn't pay your bill.
They're-
It's weird that it isn't giving you an angry message. It's just not doing anything.
It came up on the other screen. It said you didn't pay. File open, not happening.
Oh, you've got two screens.
these
We're not sharing your embarrassment.
These
You
people are
didn't pay your bill.
they're pushing their luck. They're pushing their luck now, really. I'm good for it. Okay, I'm not going to do that. So it's Michael will do it for you later, perhaps, or I'll pay my bill. Pay my bill and do it on Thursday. Let's just see if I could at least see it. No, it's all grayed out. So under transform, there should be a mirror or yeah, wow, that's hilarious. Or I could pay my bill over the break. We take a 10-minute break.
Yeah, we're almost due for a break.
Yeah, you want to do that?
Let's do that.
Okay, and then we'll do some CAD.
Yeah, and I'll go over downloading the images.
Okay. All right, so quarter after?
Yes.
That enough time? 9 minutes or so?
If it's enough time for you to pay your bill.
Okay, I'll see you in 9 minutes.
All right.
All right. All right, I'll do. All right. You can see my up-to-date Photoshop, bills paid and all. So I just brought this guy in quickly. I didn't look for resolution, so it was a little blurry, but so there's my person. So I can zoom in a little bit more. So edit, transform, flip horizontal that way. So it's just mirroring there. And then to go back to Kira, I think Kira or Paula, I forget whose, the issue of cutting people out. So that person's looking maybe a little big, about right, but we'll just call it good for now. And then, so we're on his layer. And if I'm going against, so it could, any selection tool you need. If I was using an intelligent tool like the magic wand, I'd get on the background copy. But here I'm just going to come and trim off his. So I'm on his layer, and then I could just trim off the bottom of his feet, Control D, and then maybe I want to. So I just have to make that one line carefully, and then I just trim off the top of his head, and then he's. Whoops.
Whoa. Huh. What happened?
I don't know. Hector's been having some weird problems with one of his boards like that. I don't know. So that's it. Just trimming off parts so that they fit behind what they need to fit behind. And then the blur, let's just take a look at that. So so like this grass in the foreground. So actually what we also can do is like if pretend if we liked everything like the rolling hills in the back, we could do again a selection tool, perhaps the let's try the magnetic lasso on the background layer, and then if I just trace the kind of quickly. I hate this with the mouse. Now my stuff is in the way. So I'm not doing a pretty job, but you get the idea. So we could select all of that more neatly than I did. And, I was thinking, I don't know if filter would work. Does filter work like that?
It could.
Blur, Gaussian blur. Is it only going to do my selected part? It might. Yeah. That's kind of cool. Exaggerated, but so this is what we're saying about the background. So that's not quite that much, but even just a little bit, just to blur it a little bit. So I think this is going to be affecting this permanently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it kind of put it out of focus there. And then while it's selected, I could also come here and we could get into the hue and saturation. So now that creates a mask that only that part that I was working on. And then maybe we'll want to desaturate. So that's all kind of exaggerated, but that looks pretty good actually, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So out of focus and not as intense. So definitely for backgrounds, but again, if you got a SketchUp model, which they could be cartoony, which is okay. It's okay, but you don't want to have hyper real landscapes that are competing with them. That's the moral of the story there. Okay. Any other Photoshop questions while it's open? Well, pretty good. All right.
Can we check the mirror thing just to see it?
Yeah. That's the, I wonder if I select all three layers, edit, transform, flip horizontal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got all so that's mirror at the very bottom. You got your rotates and then all your perspectives there. Okay. Any other questions on Photoshop?
So this is what we're doing with our new like case study?
No. I was just answering. No. We're not touching these photographs.
Oh, okay.
No, I was just answering questions and I just happened to open this one up. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah. No, typically, at least when in the past, like when we would do this, I generally you don't include other people's photographs of the building on boards. That's not really, it's not a photography class. Yeah, that's my take on it.
Okay.
All right, so we're ready for CAD or anything else we wanted to, you wanted to talk
Well, I
about
wanted
the
to
case
go
study?
over downloading the files. If
Okay,
people haven't done it already.
Do you want to share?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is important. Okay, so just time frame wise, we are going to go, Michael's going to show you where the things are. I'm going to show you how to insert and scale the images. So you're on your own for this. So this is an important lesson. Okay, so please be there and hearing. It's a little tricky. And you're also going to be responsible for setting up your own sheets. And I'm going to give you a template actually though, but not but I'm not scaling your stuff for you. So,
Okay. So does everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Great. So people picked, out of the 5, only picked 3. So to make things a little more expedient, I put together zip files that are sitting under project 2. And let me just take this and I'll download this. And this put all the files together. And I'm going to do this in Windows. It's actually a little more straightforward in a Mac. I'm going to go to Save or Save As. And yeah, it'll be Okay. Let me get, sorry, so I'm using OneDrive for this presentation techniques. And here we have Yard House. So I'm going to click on this, and in Windows, you have to go up here and extract it. And I'll just go to extract all. And it will put it in presentation techniques / Yard House. And I could put it in another place, but that's where I want it to go. I'm going to go to extract. This is a little bit left over because I started on a Mac. And here are the files. So the key is you want to keep everything in the same file folder. If this didn't, I extracted this to my presentation techniques folder, and then it created a new folder within that. But you want it to be all extracted. I realized that was a problem people were having the last time around when we used a zip file. Is you have to make sure the files are extracted. And I can take a closer look at this. Which is the preview.
Yeah, the extraction part caused complications, didn't it?
Right. People did not extract it.
Yeah.
And that is actually one where I will blame Windows, because on the Mac OS, you download a zip file and you just double click on it and it automatically extracts. In Windows, you have to go up and you have to say extract everything. And that was causing problems.
Yeah. Or right click on the folder.
Right click, yeah. So here it is. And this one is trickier. The one that was the most popular has a plan with a graphic scale, although it's in meters. I could go to that one. That was the Tepotzan. I actually checked it phonetically. Tepoztlan in Mexico. And if someone can say this better than I, then please. This has a lot of images associated with it. And it looks like this was the plans were taken from Revit or some other building information modeling. So they're a little unclear, or they're not as clear and sharp as they should be. So this is the floor plan. And it's a little fuzzy, frankly.
Yeah.
So, David, do you want to do the scaling?
Sure. And I'm probably going to load several of them into my thing. Maybe not today, but we'll see. We'll see what time permits.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. You'll stop the share?
I will.
Okay. All right. So this is important. So talking about the time frame, a week from today, we don't have class. It's election day. So your board is due on Sunday. But I'm thinking I might ask for to see in about a week to see that you have inserted these into CAD and have them scaled properly, just to make sure that you're ready to go. So we're going to start with CAD. I'm not sure. Michael and I have to touch base, figure out what we're going to do on Thursday exactly. If you want, you might try to get this done by Thursday. I know you have a lot to do, but if you're having technical issues with this, it would be helpful if you got our help before the end of the week. Otherwise, when we return a week from Thursday,
Mm.
this has to be underway. And again, Michael and I will talk, but we're going to come up with some deadline. Like the first draft is definitely due a week from Sunday. But we'll have more information on Thursday, but it needs to be underway. After these boards are done, we want to get the CAD out of the way quickly. Okay, so I've downloaded mine and I'm going to keep everything in this folder nice and neat. And I'm going to give you a template. I didn't upload it yet, but I will. So our new improved, and Michael and I have been talking about Canvas, and we're not going to go by this week by week thing anymore. So it all starts here. After module 6, you're going to find project 2. This is where you will find those zip files that Michael just referred to. This is the original piece. This is that's that project selection piece that you did. And then we're just going to go through with the software. There will be a module for CAD to follow, a SketchUp, Photoshop, InDesign. So we're just going to organize it by module. That's it. And I will give you a CAD template to work with. I'll put it in here today or by Thursday. Okay. Well, no, I'll do it soon. I'll try to get it done today in case you want to try to get this insertion thing done, because it could be a little tricky. So you want to get it done right. And probably by the end of Thursday, maybe we'll have some more information on exactly what we expect in terms of drawings. It will definitely include all floor plans. So let's take a look at my pretend one, but I think I'll open up the others and we'll probably have them all readily available so we can talk about it. Site plans are great. You know, we'll have to decide what we want exactly required, but site plans are great. And the boards are going to be much more creative and much more your own. We're not going to show you exactly how to lay them out. So floor plans are a must. Elevations, again, Michael and I have to have a conversation. I sometimes don't go with elevations because we see that information in SketchUp models. But floor plans are a must. So elevations, maybe not. They're really nice. I like these elevations. Sections are a must. Details are great to show things at different scales. So that's the drawings that I have to work with for my case study. So this is definitely going to happen. And the floor plan is definitely going to happen. And then I would aim for probably the site plan and the detail as well. So we'll have to see what's available to you and what we think, and then we'll have more direction as to what exactly we want. Okay. So everything lives in the same folder. It doesn't get moved around, and I will provide you with a CAD template that looks exactly like the one that you have been working in. It is the same exact one, actually. I just did a saved as, and I stripped everything away, turned on all the layers. So nothing is here. And then I double click with the wheel, which is the same as zoom extents. And it squares this up. So I know there's nothing, I know there's no layers, nothing hidden that's off in right field. This is everything we got. I added graphic scales and a north arrow for you. These are the layers that we will be working with. Probably 3 layers I would expect. Dark, medium, and light. There are 4 here. You might have a 4th for a hatch. These numbers do not correspond to what we actually have now, because this is the file that I was working on and playing around with the layers. And of course, it all depends on the scale of your drawing, the density of your drawing. So you will each be responsible for getting into the layer property box, which I don't know where it is right now. Properties. Layer properties, there we go. So you'll each be responsible for fine-tuning these line weights later on. And so you're each responsible for inserting the drawings and scaling them, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And I think I'm just going to leave you with one paper space like this, and you're going to be responsible for laying it out as well, which is equally tricky to scaling, probably if not more, actually. Okay, so that's this we could get back to because we don't have any drawings yet, but now let's get into the inserting. Okay, so I'm going to save this. So Yep, I'm going to save this right on my desktop. All right, so now I have all my stuff together, and let's just take one more look at that quickly. That is here. Yep, so there's my folder. There is my CAD file, and the images that I'm going to insert are not in the same exact folder, but as long as I don't move them, as long as I don't change the name, that should not be a problem. But everything that's going to live in this folder is not going to be moved, renamed, or anything like that. So start, and by now you should definitely have a sense that files are going to be piling up. So keep them organized. You might have a SketchUp folder, Photoshop folder, images from Google folder, etc. Okay. All right. So from the top, insert, attach. Here's my folder. And here we don't have to do anything. That's all good to go. We're going to specify on the screen, and I'm just going to say, okay, click 1, click 2. All right. We'll put these on my image layer. So let's get them all in. Insert, attach. I think I could do, no, maybe not. Maybe one at a time.
I think it has to be one at a time.
Okay. Good. And I'm just going to insert them all. I just like to have them nearby to refer to. And you could even insert photographs to refer to. You never really have problems with like CAD files getting too big or unruly. And maybe I'll just put in one pretty picture to look at. There, I got everybody now. I'm not going to focus on the elevations, so I'm going to pick them up. Let's make sure everybody is on my image layer. So when I select everybody, right, I select one guy. It tells me I'm on my dark medium. I select another guy, it tells me that I'm on my image. When I select everybody and there's no answer to the question, that means they're on various. And that's an important thing to do, not for images per se, but in other applications, and I could show you later about that. So let's move everybody to my image layer, which should be a no printing layer. Let's just check on that. Layer properties, images, and right there, I don't know if you could see it, but there's a little printer and it's X'd, or it has a little minus sign, so it's on a non-printing layer. Okay, so let's close that. All right, I'm not going to worry about the scale of the site plan. Probably not now, probably not never. Let's just put him over there. And I want a section and a plan that correspond. I want them to be properly scaled and lined up and ready to go. All right, so let's just move him down a little bit. And here's my floor plan. So typically I go with 3-foot doors. Residential doors are often 32 inches. Front doors are like doors within the house are typically around 32. Front doors in newer houses, even older houses, are probably closer to 36 for getting your furniture in. I find doors to be the most reliable, basically. So I will start drawing my line right here at the threshold. And just also to note, remember the application bar button right there, the big A, options, display, colors, crosshairs, red. So whatever color you like, but don't kill your eyes and have a white on white crosshair. Apply and close, and then crosshairs right here. I max it out. It's funny, some students, I do that to their thing and it like freaks them out. They don't like to see big crosshairs. I don't know why, but I like them running off the screen, just like I like my X lines nice and big. Okay, line, enter, L enter. zooming in to the jamb, right? The jamb is what surrounds the door, side jamb, top jamb. And then I will just pull in this direction, 3, 6, enter. Oh my gosh. Wow. What are the chances of that happening? That's perfect. No lesson. That's suspicious. Suspiciously good. Okay, well, let's scale, enter, shrink it down and do it again. That's never happened and probably never will happen again. L, enter. You're recording this, right, Michael?
I am.
Okay, so one more time. Right at the jam, start again, pull it, 3, 6, enter. All right, so there. So now I'm at about half the size. So that's where I want to be. All right, so I have, this is the beginning of my door, and then I'm going to draw one more line right at the other side. So I want this door that is currently this width to extend to the width of this line. Okay, so I have I type DLI, dimension linear. So I have a door that is 17 inches and change, and I want it to be 36 inches. And I have to draw this line. That line's not so necessary, but this one is. So scale, SC, enter, select your object that you're scaling, enter. And always keeping an eye on when you're not sure where you're going, keep an eye on your command line, specify your base point. So the base point would be right here, and that's where it grows out from. Click there, and then it is saying, put in a scale factor, which I don't know. In SketchUp, or I forget which, Michael was showing in scale factors in SketchUp at a point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you know what the number is, if it's whatever, if you want to multiply it, if you want it to grow by twice, you put in a 2. If you wanted to cut it in half, you put in a 0.5. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what copy does, but I'm going to go R for reference. R, enter. And now it's 3 points. So back to the base point, click 1. The actual current distance, click 2. And what I want that distance to become is click 3. I'll do that one more time. So scale, enter, select object. And this is the easiest way to select anything, really. I always go with little boxes off the side of an image. Enter, base point. This is where it all starts from, and it's going to grow from this point. And then R for reference, because I don't know what the scale factor is. Click 1, click 2, click 3. And now I just always double check with my DLI, dimension linear. And now my door is 3 feet. Okay. Get rid of that. Keep that line right there, and then I'll get into my favorite. Let's take a look at my section and see what we could see. So I can see the front door, it appears, or is that the back door? Do I have a section line? They did not tell us where this section is cut. So either that's the back door we're looking at, or it's the front door. The front door, the handle's on the left. The back door, the handle's on the right. We are inside the house because we have windows. So that is the back door we are looking at. And that is the back door, which has the hinge on the left. So this is correct, Michael? I forget, I never use this. So this arrow is pointing away from the hinge. I don't know how you describe that. I never use this convention. So this is the hinge side. And that's what that arrow is showing. So we're in the house because I could see that we're cut through the windows. So let's see, I think it's going to be the same. Let's just drop some X lines right here just to test my theory. XL, enter. V for vertical. I'm going to snap right there, snap right there. And again, our snaps, always endpoint, midpoint, center for the circle is good. Perpendicular is a must. Midpoint and perpendicular, yes, that's it. No tangent, no nearest. So you can't draft without perpendicular. And for some reason, that's not a, doesn't seem to be a default. So then I come back here and it looks like the back door is in perfect line with the front door. So from there, I am going to get this door scaled to live between these lines. So maybe I'll start with a line right here. Click and click. And I'm zoomed in a good amount. You know, don't draw these lines, you know, at a distance. Come in quite a bit. So now I will move my image and my line, not snapping, turn my snap off, back on, click, and bring it over. So now the left side of my door is aligned with my X line, which is aligned with my plan. And now we are going to, so this is too big and we have to make it smaller. So we have 3 points just the same. So this is the current width of the door and it has to fit between these. And I have 1 point here, that'll be my base point. And then I'll say, then it'll say select your 3 points. I'm going to select 1, 2, and then back in this direction. So last time I was expanding, this time I'm shrinking. So scale, enter, select my object, enter, select my base point, R for reference, 3 points, 1, 2, 3. We'll do that one more time. Scale, enter, object, enter, base point, R for reference, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. So same drill, and coincidentally, I'm glad that I had the chance to show you going in both directions, from small to big and big to small. Move. And sometimes when I move things and I don't want to snap, I just come out here in right field. I don't go, if I'm not trying to snap like this corner to that corner, I just move away and then I just do it by eye. I want these things close, but I don't want any snapping. Because I definitely don't want to snap and mess up my nice alignment. So sometimes I'm either very careful about snapping or I just move my cursor away and I just do it by eye. In this case, I'm just going to bring it right up there. So that is set to go. And let's just check. X line, enter, V for vertical. Let's go to the outside of these columns. Click. Yeah, well, I'll continue this thought quickly. So those are the outsides of the columns and they do not look too good. Do not look too good. All right, so that's a red flag. Why are they not matching? Let's explore a little more. So they could be cut. Does that make sense?
Right. That would be what I would think.
But they are on the outside.
They should be, then they would be towards the inside.
Yeah.
If they were cut.
Okay, so maybe there's something goofy about my door or something I'm missing. I wish I knew where this thing's cut. Where are we? We see siding. Are we outside? We can't be outside. We see siding.
I don't think it's all glass on the.
These are the windows, right? These are the low windows.
Right. I mean, I think you're cutting through a shelf that's a desk. But
yeah, piece of furniture there. Windows, and then this siding. So this is why we have to do homework. Siding on the outside, so that's our back door. Front door.
it looks like there's siding on the inside.
Yeah. This is the front door. So is there something down there? Some built-in. That built-in, maybe that's what we're cut through, and then maybe there's siding. So that's our front door. We're facing this way. This thing is on our right in the section. And then is there siding around the corner? Yeah, I bet this is what we're cut through. And that's the siding we're looking at.
Yes, yes.
So did our impressive architects draw something wrong, or am I missing something? Well, let me just continue. So what I would do, regardless of this problem, what would I do? I would draw X lines, V for vertical.
Yeah, right there.
That's the outside of the house. Outside of the house. X line, H for horizontal, right there. Trim, cut him, get rid of those. So I don't need that door anymore. I'm definitely going to call the plan right. So the reason I drew this line and carefully is that this thing is very symmetrical. So my midpoint right there is showing up nicely on the dashed line. That's my ridge overhead, I suspect. So that's good news. And then like I would only draw these columns on one side and then mirror them over. So this point right here is going to be super important. Everything that could be mirrored will be mirrored. Columns, dash lines, windows would be mirrored over. And besides saving time and not duplicating my efforts, I want to make sure this thing is truly symmetrical, and mirroring will help that. So we're not just doing it by eye. So I think, so this is my door, another X line, V for vertical. So that is my midpoint on that line, and it's hitting that dashed line perfectly. And it's very near close to the center of that thing. I think it's a discrepancy in the drawing. I don't know what else it could be. And it's just, everybody's clear, right? These two lines are on the outside of where this was cut, right? That's our column. But our column, this diagonal column, isn't reaching it. So that's the discrepancy, that why we're scratching our head. It is a foot off. It happens. I mean, you know, presentation drawings, I don't know, things change. What would we do?
It's all, I don't know. I wonder, the problem is it's all uniformly a bit smaller than the plan above, right?
Yeah, the outside lines are.
So I would just use those as the guide rather than the door. The door may not be.
Okay. Okay, the door is less important.
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's get rid of those door lines. Move this guy, M for move. I want to center him up. That's kind of annoying me. But yeah. So scale this up to meet the column.
Right.
Is what we're going to do. So if you're doing this one, you got a clear lesson. Okay. So again, we have center line, good. Outside walls, good. Columns, good. So I got my 5 lines, and I'm falling short right here by 3 inches, and I'm falling short here by a foot. I think we'll get the walls to where they belong, and then we'll cheat the columns on the plan is what I would do, I think. So how do we get this guy to be bigger? So I draw my line. So I just draw a line straight through, trim off this little bit here. So that is, I want this wall, outside wall, to reach that line. So I'm going to draw a reference line. I need this reference line. This is what I did the very first scale that I did, because otherwise I have nothing to snap to there. So this is important. When you're making something bigger, you need that line there. So scale, enter, select, enter. The base point is in the center because I want things to grow out on both sides. So click, R for reference, 1, 2, 3. So now that agrees. So now that is the center line in the right side, and it agrees with what's up here. So that's good. My columns are still not where they want to be. So what I would do, again, erase one of these. That goes away. I'm gonna, I don't know where this thing is cut. Well, it's typically cut above. I'm not going to make myself crazy. I mean, another discrepancy could be that maybe they didn't draw the rest of the column down there.
Mm-hmm.
If this column was cut at 4 feet, it's missing some. And this is exactly what I was telling you, Hector, for your project in the other class. I think I'm going to cheat. And what we're talking about is just this is an important conversation. It's a little tricky, but in general, when we cut a floor plan, it's 4 feet above, right? So let's pretend this is 4 feet above floor level, and then we're looking down. That's our floor plan. We cut through because we want to cut through doors. We want to cut through windows. So if that's the case, if we cut through here, for instance, this part is where the cut occurred, right? That's the column that's been cut. And then the rest of the column, this portion, is not cut. But that's, I think, overly complicated for our purposes today. So I think the best cheat is to move this right to here and call this the column. X line, V for vertical. That's where the column is going to live. MI for mirror. And again, this is my center mirror line. I pull down, and there it is. So that, and the mirror again tells me that these two lines are the same exact distance from that center line. And that's how I want to do everything. I want them to be consistent, perfect, and easy. And then when I come up to my plan, I'm going to cheat these things in because I think it's a discrepancy in their drawings, that things aren't perfectly aligning. Okay. Yeah, so the mirroring is super important, and it's 4 o'clock already, so I'm not going to, maybe I'll open up the other drawings and just take a look at them. I'm not going to start drawing on them all. But maybe Thursday I'll bring in the other 2 case studies and do the same. I'm not going to give them to you. I want you to do this. It's tedious. It's a little tedious, but it's important. So that's that. Okay, so that's set up. So let me just do one more thing while we're here, and then I'll do the same with the other ones on Thursday, because I don't want people coming up with these problems on their own. I'm glad we discovered that. So now I'm going to go into paper space, and this is an important lesson that we'll go over again. And this is probably trickier actually. So here I am. I'll give you this with one viewport probably, and I'll probably show you how to manipulate them. So here's my viewport. Here's my property box confirming that I have one viewport, standard scale, 1/16 of an inch. So that was our visitor center. And this is way too small. We don't need it that small. So what I could do is just come here and start scrolling. So now I can't see what I'm looking at though. So that's not going to help me. So what I'm going to do, again, remember that this is a thin line, right? That viewport is a thin line, and it says paper space right here. I could just hit model, and now it's a thick line. And this is a couple, everybody makes this mistake at first. It's completely normal and natural to come in here and start scrolling and messing up that scale. I haven't set my scale yet. I haven't figured it yet, so I could do this. And I want to get my guy nice and centered. Here's my floor plan. So nice and centered. I think we could keep everything oriented the way that it is, the way that they start it. That's probably safe to do. and we'll probably get them as big as we can on here. And so I would aim for, and you might have 2 sheets. You'll probably have 2 sheets. We'll do 11 by 17s. And we'll keep like things together on the sheet, but then like the detail and the site plan, different scales. So I'll probably just put them on a different sheet. I'm not going to worry about getting everything on the same. So here I am, nice and centered. PS for paper space. I could come down here and click that. I just typically go with, I go with PS for paper space. And the way people make mistakes is they double click and open that up, and then they start scrolling. But more specifically, what they do is they zoom in and then they double click, and they believe that they're in paper space, but they're actually in model. And then they're doing this and they're like, where's my title block? I can't see my title block. And it's like, because you're in paper, because you've jumped through the window and you're in model space. So pay attention to this. If you can't see your viewport, pay attention to that. So now I'm in paper, model, paper, paper. All right, so nice and centered, select, custom scale means no scale. These houses are all roughly the same size. Some are horizontal, some are vertical. 1/8 inch, 3/16, that might be the answer. Quarters looking like it's going to come off. Let's go with 3/16. Double click to get inside. What happened to my cursor? I might have just messed something up myself. That's weird. All right. So I double clicked, I'm inside. I am not going to scroll. If I scroll, I mess up my scale. I'm just going to push down on the wheel and pan. So I could just get up top. This is a little alarming. I don't know why that happens. This looks okay. It doesn't look like, I don't know why that happened. So my stairs are good. These stairs, I think I'm going to try to squeeze this in. I'd like to see this that big, I think. PS for paper space. This is my printing area. I'm going to grab my viewport, bring it right down. Grab my viewport, bring it right up to the edge. Double click. Now I'm in model space, wheel down, pushing my stairs all the way to the edge of my paper. Because I know that I'm going into Photoshop, so I'm not overly concerned about this looking awkward. This is gonna, and then now it fits. Now my stairs are there. You know, if this were a finished product, this sheet, it might be a little too close for comfort, but I know that I'm going into Photoshop, so I don't really care. So top to bottom, we're good. Double click, scooch it over to the left. And good. PS for paper space. Pick up that viewport, and I'm going to chop it in half like that. So going back into model space quickly, one could perhaps turn the whole piece of paper vertically and try to get this all stacked the way it is here, but I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to leave this the way it is because I like to refer up and down. Otherwise, I never would have found that error. So for drafting purposes, I like this the way it is. So I'm going to contend with that here. So let's just scooch that over a little bit. That's good. CO for copy. Pick this guy up, move him over. And I've got my ortho on right there. So I don't have to worry about moving. And then my section is directly south, right? So I'm going to double click. I'm in model space. I'm not going to scroll. I'm going to press on the wheel, start moving it up. And you can see that I could shift left to right. I'm just going to hold shift now. And now it's going straight up. Release shift, release my wheel, move back down, wheel up, shift. Paper space. And I would I would live with that in CAD, and I even got this guy here if I want. I could turn off my images. And then I'll have nothing to look at. But that's how I would set that up, and that's good to go. And the important lesson now is that we settled on 3/16 of an inch. So therefore, what do we know? Why do we care about that? You get a bonus point if you tell me why we care about that right now. Why is that so important? Hint.
We know our scale now.
Our dash lines. We have to look at our dash lines correctly, right? If we don't know the scale that they're showing up in paper space, we never know what they look like. And here in my handy cheat sheet, it tells us, so we are at 3/16, which is a goofy scale. It's 1/16 of an inch is generally something I would avoid, but it's not so important. So 1/16 is 3/16, right? Let me make sure. And I'll definitely do this for all the projects. On Thursday, I'll do it quicker. 3/16 is the answer to the riddle. 3/16 lives between an eighth and a quarter, right? So the LT scale should be right in between these two, right? 96 is twice 48. So halfway between these two is, I'm going to add 24. So 72 should be my LT scale. So let's see what that does. So LT scale, 72, did I say?
Mm-hmm.
Enter. So this is what that dashed line looks like. So I'm just going to pick him up, bring him over here. And I know I got some dashed lines here. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Copy, dash line, turn off my ortho, come with me. There we are. Okay. So this, now that I set my LT scale to 72, this is what it looks like at 1. The line type scale is 1. So let's copy. Ortho back on. I'm just a neat guy. I like my things aligned. So this is line type scale 1. Let's see what line type scale 0.5 looks like. Line type scale 0.3. And these are to be fine-tuned, but once we get these, all these dashed lines coming in, right? So this doesn't have a place. That's way too big. Let's just see this thought through a little bit further. 0.3, 0.2. So I think I'm going to be using 0.2 probably. Like so. And then when I come to paper space, they're not appearing correctly, of course, as we know. And then I go LT scale 1, enter, and they agree. So that tells me that I'm looking at the dash lines correctly in model space, right? If these didn't agree, that means my LT scale was set incorrectly. LT scale. So 72 is the magic number for viewports that are set at 3/16, all right? And I will go through this on Thursday quickly for the other projects, just so you have some direction on this. You're going to set it all up yourself, and you want to figure this out, because I don't want to draft all these dashed lines and then have to go back and change them all. Let's just make these big decisions now and be done with it. It's not rocket science, you know. You guys are going back and changing doors, you know, again and again and again. If you think it out, you know, early, you save yourself time. Yeah, tiny dashes, so that's even smaller. All right, so I think I'm ready to draft. Images could also be locked right here so that I do not accidentally move them. And then I'll get back to site plan will come later, but Thursday I'll set the other ones up just like this so you can see what it looks like. All right, questions?
But those we should finish them by, I guess, next Sunday we should start the AutoCAD, or like what's the due date for?
So this coming Sunday, your boards are due.
Okay,
And the following Sunday, your first draft will be due, which will be section and floor plan, the majority, at least started, halfway
Okay.
done, halfway done at least, a week from
Okay.
Sunday. The basics, you know, and again, maybe Thursday I'll time to do a little more. Maybe I'll do the walls for one of them on Thursday, especially the angular one. I'll show you how I would do that. So systematically moving through things. So like all the walls should be done. We don't do things piecemeal. I'm a kind of just a structured guy like that, but it has its benefits. All the walls get done, then all the doors get done, then the furniture gets done. All right, so let's say a week from Sunday, all the walls are done, you know, major outline is done. And we'll also have to talk about like all this insulation and stuff. Don't go down that road just yet. I think, you know, there are technical drawings and they have their place, but we also have to be concerned about the scale and things blurring. And maybe we'll just do a prettier job in Photoshop with some light hatches. So we'll talk more about that, about options and hatches and stuff, but don't go crazy with hatches. If you forge ahead, ask those questions. Okay, other questions? Yeah, I don't think 20 minutes is enough to do one more. I don't really want to start another. Do you think I should do one more? No. I'll do it on Thursday.
Yeah, let's do it on Thursday. I think it'll be good as a refresher too.
Yeah.
People can start plunging into doing it then.
Yeah. If you're so inspired, get the images in and do the scaling. You could do that. But I'll go over the viewports for the other two projects. I'm glad we only have 3 projects, actually. It'll be nice to have them all here because, because specific problems are going to arise. So I'll get them all into the same file for myself. And this is helpful. You know, you have to have this file nearby. There's going to be troubleshooting and head scratching. So you need to understand all the pictures. You need to understand where you are as you move through this thing. Other questions?
So when we download that file, we have to import those into AutoCAD or
Insert attach.
oh, okay.
Insert
or it'll be in the Mac world, it'll be insert raster image reference.
Just have to be different.
Yeah, Mac just has to be different just for the heck of it.
And just to let you know, so what these things are, so if we select it, it is a raster image, so appropriate but different. But what they also are, more importantly, is they are Xrefs. So XR, enter, and this is the Xref box. And these are super important in professional practice, not for tracing photographs, but in big projects, you would use these, you would draw your floor plan in one file, and then you would Xref it into a ceiling plan file, for instance, and then you could build your ceiling plan right on top of the floor plan. So what it means is that they are, so they're attached, but if it was a CAD file within a CAD file, then they could be updated. And Michael talked about the importance of that from going from Illustrator into InDesign or Photoshop into InDesign, so that you could work in, and in real practice, I would be working on a floor plan and Michael could be working on the ceiling plan in his house at the same time. And I would just say, Michael, I just updated the southwest corner. He would just press update and he would see it on his. So as long as we are sharing, we would need a server to share them. But that's how, but it's Xrefs are super important and they could be a little tricky. but so it's not just attaching. They could be live files. And Michael talked about the importance of that with Adobe, but it's very much the same with CAD and professional practice. When you're doing high-rise buildings and you got several people in the firm working on the same files, they'll be shared and linked together in that fashion. So getting to know your Xrefs. And then when people accidentally move these drawings or change the name, change the path, that's when the Xref gets detached and confused because it can't find it. So that's the importance of keep your stuff in the same folder, don't change the names. Because if it's looking for JR hut drawing and it says right down here, this is the path, that's where it lives. And if I take that folder off my desktop, it's not going to find it. And that's when you open it up and these things are all gone. And students are like, what happened? Or anybody who is not yet privy to the world of Xrefs would be confused. Other questions? All right, that's all I have. If anybody has wanted to share their screen about Photoshop or anything, we could do that after everybody lets out. Any other thoughts, Michael?
No, I think this is a good place to stop and then pick up again.
Okay. I concur. All right, then you're free to go work on your boards and yeah, stick around if you have any last minute questions, but otherwise we will see you on Thursday.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye.